Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton, back with another opposition view on the channel. Today joined again by Jay Motty because of course we are coming up in the Carabao Cup against Manchester United. It is the quarter final now. Feels like quite a while ago since the last round of the Carabao Cup, but not too long ago since we last played Manchester United. Jay, thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. Obviously, as we're recording, it's the morning after the Leeds game, so I'm still basking in the glory of that win. To be honest with you.
Yeah, we'll come to that in just a moment, but we'll just start just back. Of course, last time we were on the channel, we spoke about the match in the Premier League, which of course you went on to win. You were on a pretty good run of form then. Since then, obviously, disappointingly went out of the Champions League for yourselves, but form picking back up win against City, Sheffield United, and obviously that Leeds win. So how's your season kind of developed since the last time we spoke?
It's sort of kicked on a bit. I think it was obviously a big win for us at Goodison when we managed to get the 3 points against you. Kept that momentum going away from home that we've had. We've had something ridiculous, like I think it's 6 away wins this season where we've been behind. The problem was the home form, and as you just mentioned there, the Leeds game comes off the back of I think a draw at home with City and a win at home to West Brom. So we're getting our home form around where it needs to be, coupled with the fact that our away form is fantastic. Although we're making hard work of it, we are picking up the points away from home. So yeah, things are going great. Really, we're sort of within touching distance of the top of the table, which I don't think any United fan expected. The only downside is, as you mentioned, we did go out of Europe at a time, at a position as well where we'd done the hard work. We'd won away in Paris, we'd battered Leipzig, and then to lose over in Istanbul, to lose at home to Paris Saint-Germain, and then again to lose to Leipzig away was just it was a bit of a sickener. But overall, things are going relatively well, and I like the fact that the team does look like it's coming together nicely.
Yeah, and as you mentioned there, obviously you're on some very good away form. Maybe you'd struggled a bit at home. What do you maybe put that down to? Because of course the match is at Goodison Park, and you do seem to be a stronger side away from Old Trafford.
It's a really strange one. I mean, listen, everyone suffers from the fact that fans aren't in the ground, unless you're in Tier 2 or whatever it is, and you're allowed 2,000 fans in. But I think the sort of, for travelling teams coming to Old Trafford with no fans there, and the occasion you're at Old Trafford, there's no fans there, it's almost like, you can sort of go out and have a go. And I think it's benefited them. And I think United have sort of struggled a little bit because I know, listen, everyone suffers with it. You don't have fans there. But I think United have struggled to get to grips without those 76,000 fans there, because United fans may get a bit of a bad rep with the whole prawn sandwich brigade and all that sort of nonsense. But the atmosphere at Old Trafford had greatly improved over the last couple of years. Last year in particular, just before lockdown, things were going in the right direction. And I think that's had an adverse effect on the players. So when you go away from home as United team, they've not struggled at all. They can still play the same way. I think at home, though, the opposition are a little bit more up for it for some strange reason. I think the fear factor's not there. The fact that the fans aren't there seems to have affected United rather than the opposition. And as we've seen with some of the results we've had at Old Trafford, teams have been able to really get at us. So it has been a really strange one and really frustrating from a United fan point of view. But sort of, like I said earlier, we do seem to have kicked on a little bit. I'm just hoping now we can build on this, because we've been here before where we've had some good results and a good run, and then one bad game can derail the whole thing.
Yeah, and from a tactical perspective, obviously, there's been a lot said about Ole in the past where he's going to be sacked. He's obviously not going to. He's doing a decent job. You're up to 3rd now in the table. I think you're up above us on goals scored. Against Leeds, 6 goals scored. Was there much that changed in that game from the previous few at home? Maybe what changed about your approach to the game?
I think that it wasn't just the personnel, because obviously Dan James got a start. He went with McTominay and Fred, which he has done in the past, as a sort of what looked like a holding midfield role, but we saw McTominay getting forward. He was almost like box to box, and we know what Bruno Fernandes can do. I think it was just the approach in terms of what he told the players to do and the way the players carried out those instructions in the game. We saw the high press, which United don't always do. We were straight on the Leeds defenders. We were straight on their full-backs, straight on their centre-backs, really pressurising them. And they couldn't handle it. And you saw it after 3 minutes with 2 goals up. And it was like Leeds were almost in shock. United don't often do that. We don't always play a high press, but we did against Leeds, and it worked fantastically. And you saw that because McTominay wasn't just sitting in front of the defence. He wasn't doing the Nemanja Matic role. It was a bit more like a box-to-box midfielder. He'd obviously been told to join in when we're pressing. Scott, McTominay and Fred to a lesser degree, get forward, support the attack. And he did that. And obviously he found a space because the Leeds defenders, they're looking at Dan James, looking at Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial and Bruno Fernandes, of course, who I think they more or less try to man mark. But somebody finds that little bit of space and he's got that quality in him. So I think that was the main difference, was the fact that Ollie had told the players, just press. And that worked straight from the off.
And obviously, Everton have had a very poor defensive record for the majority of the season, but for the past 3 games, it's definitely picked up. Clean sheets against Chelsea and Leicester, only one conceded against Arsenal, which, of course, was a penalty. And I think what a lot of that's come down to is we've become much more defensively solid if we've, sat back a lot more than maybe we were playing a higher line early in the season, but we do look much more comfortable when we're kind of in a low block compact. Do you think that'll maybe be a problem for United coming to Goodison Park if we're going to kind of sit there and be happier to play on the counter-attack?
100%. United can struggle against the low block. We found it difficult in the past to break teams down. I think going back to your earlier question, that might be a good point as to why at times we've benefited from away games or we have better away form, is because teams at home tend to come at you more, don't they? They tend to be, you're at home, we're going to attack. And United are great on the counter. So when teams have just sat back, sort of sat in and had that low block, United sometimes have struggled to break them down. And I think, I've not watched a lot of Everton, but as you mentioned there, Everton have sort of been employing that and employing it well, then that may be a problem for Manchester United, because we like it when teams come at us and we can counter. We've got the pace, we've got the talent, the likes of Marcus Rashford, Mason Greenwood, Anthony Martial sort of running at teams. It can cause them all sorts of problems. Bruno Fernandes, of course. So, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about that, to be honest with you. I think that is a style that doesn't suit Manchester United. And obviously, Ancelotti's no idiot. He'll see what happened in the last game and he'll have made changes to address that.
Yeah, and in terms of, I think we will come out and play a low block, because that's what we've been doing for the past few games when we've had to see out results against, as I mentioned, Chelsea and Leicester doing very well this season. So what are United's main weaknesses then? What are you most worried about coming up against us? Because I'm not sure James Rodriguez will be back at this point. He's been injured for a few games, but players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, are you concerned about them if we are going to play that counter-attacking style?
100%. Listen, United's weaknesses are the obvious ones defensively. We're just so inconsistent. And at times, it's just basic errors. And it seems to be a sort of comedy of errors where it's not just one player making a mistake. It'll be, someone gives the ball away, someone's not covering a man, someone falls over or whatever. It's almost like you'll see 1, 2, 3 things happen before a goal is scored. And that really worries me, because we haven't been able to get that level of consistency defensively that you need to even be remotely sort of realistic about a title challenge. Because whilst, we're sort of sat there in 3rd place, if we are going to have aspirations of challenging for the title, we need to sort our defensive problems out, because we have looked a little bit all over the place. And going back to the Leeds game, even the Leeds game, it sounds crackers because it's a 6-2 win. But at one point, we even made out work of that for a little while, where you're like, we're letting him back in here. it was always a bit of a cushion, but I think, it got back to 4-1 and they had a couple of chances where you think if they'd have taken them, it would have been a bit more interesting from their point of view. So we need to sort out defensive frailties. We do have quality defenders. This is the weird thing. It's not like he's changed the back four. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a good defender. Harry Maguire, Lindelof and Luke Shaw, or even when Brandon Williams plays, I actually think he's a good player. But we've got these sort of mistakes in us, and it's something that just needs to be eradicated. Now, I don't know how Ollie gets around that. I don't know if it's lack of concentration from some of the players just getting complacent. I'm not really sure, but it is going to harm our chances of picking up some silverware if we don't get it sorted. And as you've mentioned there, even without James Rodriguez, you've got Richarlison, you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who obviously has caused us problems in the past. So it does worry me a great deal. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, going into the Leeds game, there was a slight change of personnel. Obviously, Dan James came in, who hasn't featured too much this season. Are you expecting to see a similar lineup in midweek, or are you going to maybe see more rotation again?
I think he'll rotate. I think he will. I think Paul Pogba will get a start. I think we might even see Edinson Cavani. I know he might face a ban, but I don't think that kicks in. If he does get a ban, I think he's got till January the 4th. So I would expect those two start, and probably Mason Greenwood as well. I think United have got a bit of a squad in the sense that, we've got options. The players I've mentioned, Cavani, Pogba and Mason Greenwood, are quality players. They'd walk in at most teams, and they didn't play the weekend. So to bring them in, it's not too shabby. I think the problem is when you get past sort of 4 or 5 players, then you start to struggle. We haven't got a massive squad in terms of that quality, but we have got a few. And also Donny van de Beek as well. So I think the players that are in and around the first team that didn't start against Leeds, the likes of Van der Beek, the likes of Pogba, the likes of Cavani, and the likes of Mason Greenwood. I expect them to start. Maybe as well, you might see someone like Tellez come in for Luke Shaw. He might even give Dean Henderson a chance as well in goal because he's been playing in the Carabao Cup and done quite well in that as well. So, yeah, I expect him to make the changes. But like I said, the players that are coming in are actually decent. We've got a decent squad for once.
Yeah, and both sides are coming into this in good form. As I mentioned, Chelsea, Leicester and Arsenal for us. Yourselves getting that draw against City, wins against Sheffield United and, of course, Leeds. So how confident are you going into this game? And also kind of just as a second part of that question, how important of a game is it for you this season to go on and do well in this competition?
I mean, this will probably end up getting clips up, but I really want to win this. I really want to win this competition. So if you beat us, I expect this to get this rammed down my throat when I try and put a disclaimer saying I wasn't really bothered. I think if you can get a good run in the Carabao Cup, not just a good run, if you can win the Carabao Cup, it sets you up nicely because you've got that first bit of silverware under your belt. And we saw it in sort of 2017. We got the Carabao Cup win and we went on and we won the Europa League as well. City have got a bit of a monopoly on it since then. I think they've won it every year since then. So that can be really, that's something we'd want to put an end to. But yeah, I think that it's important. It's a good bit of silverware. And sorry, what was the first part of your question as well?
Just like how confident are you going into the game?
Sorry. And in terms of confidence, listen, there's paper thin margins between these two teams at the minute. There really is. You look at our form. I think is it one goal in difference in the league?
Yeah, something like that.
In terms of goal difference, which is just ridiculous, isn't it? After 13 games, whatever it is. And you look at the game at Goodison, I know we won, but we didn't have it all our own way. We had to come back, as we often do, away from home from behind. So I expect a close game. I think that the form that we've showed, especially away from home, though, I am feeling pretty confident. And like I said, I like the fact that even though I expect Ollie to change things, the players he's bringing in are good quality players. He's not, giving the kids the run. I don't expect him to give the kids a run anyway. I think you'll see some established or some decent players coming in. So I think it'll be a close game, but I think United have got enough just to shade it. Yeah,
so there you have it. That is the end of the video, the end of my questions. Of course, from an Everton perspective, a very important game for coming up with us for us. Be a great early Christmas present as well if we could advance into the semi-final. So thanks, Jay, for coming on. Thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to check out all the social media down below. Let us know your score predictions as well in the comments. So thank you very much for watching and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.